This episode of Co-op is brought to you by Mass Effect 2, which is available right now. GoDaddy.com and Netflix.
I hate to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I hate to toot my own horn, but toot toot.
The thing I like about you most is you'd run away with me. So pack your bags and your shotgun too. We might run into zombies. We're always down for that co-op multiplayer action. We're always down. We're so down. We're so down. We're so down for co-op. We're so down for that co-op action.
This is a really big year, like last year, for downloadable titles. And it wasn't just PC games or, the major consoles this year. Handhelds and even Mac gamers got a bunch of things to play, and iPhone as well.
Yeah.
So there was just tons of great tiny games on all platforms this year. At the beginning of this year, we had a great PSN title, of course, which was Flower.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah.
it was a great way to start off the year.
It was the first thing I bought when I got my PS3.
Your
I'm
first
like,
game?
Yeah, because I came back from Japan at the beginning of '09, and the first thing I thought was, oh, I better get some next generation systems. And so I got a PS3 and I got Flower, and I was just like,
Is that the sound you made?
yes, exactly.
I mean, for me, playing Flower was like the most I ever smiled playing a game, like other than like Mario Galaxy or something like that. Like I was just like the whole time like a dumb look on my face, like.
Not that you're just reduced it to a technical level, but it's also the best use of 6-axis by any
Yes,
developer
that's true.
out there.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean, it really is. If you have kind of a base, well, Ryan disagrees with that.
Well, because of Wipeout. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was the best use of 6-axis. And the first test for me, like when we first were playing Flowers, is when you open up an area and it pulls the camera out, but you can still move around. I was like, I want to test the 6-axis. I'm going to fly straight up and then flip backwards when I'm not even on screen and see if I'm in that position when I come back. And I was perfectly in that position and could just flip it around and go right back to where I wanted to.
I don't know how they did that and make it work the way you want it to work.
Well, they did it by one of the axes doesn't actually result in control. That limitation was a genius limitation because it meant you were never lost in your controls. And that's what that whole game was about the freedom and the joy of movement.
I mean, we're talking about like games as art. It was an art game. I felt like I was playing a painting.
But it's not just that. It was one of those games that required you to have kind of an institutional vocabulary on what games are all about. Talking to John Davison, his wife, tried playing it, and he tried other friends tried people who didn't play games, and they didn't like it. They didn't get it. They didn't understand it. They didn't enjoy it.
See, I had a completely different experience. I had friends and family, like my mom, for example, who picked it up and just thought it was gorgeous. And yeah, I guess if you don't, it could take a little bit getting used to using the 6-axis control, but they actually loved it. And maybe they didn't get the whole game perspective of it, like collecting points or the flowers,
Right.
but they loved, to soar.
Well, and I think that's what it was. Is like the game doesn't really give you goals, and so if you're someone who is not familiar with what to do on an instinctual level, then the game can be a little frustrating in that you don't really know what you're supposed to do.
Maybe, but I still feel like the base mechanic is a payoff, and like if you don't care about the goals per se, then just floating around in the world could be fun depending upon what stage you're in.
For a limited amount of time, absolutely.
But that's what I liked about the game so much as a hardcore gamer, was that I felt like it did appeal to me enough in that it did have goals. I did feel a progression through each of the stages, and then each individually in the stages there is a direct progression. You finish this area, then move to this area, then move to this area, and then each of the stages themselves have completely different mechanics. You feel narrative that was told completely without words, and the sound and picture have done everything for you, and all you did was hold down one button and move your hands around.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when you say a story told completely without words. Flower is one of the best examples of a use of the medium. As far as storytelling through gameplay is concerned, Flower's it. It's one of the best examples I could think of.
I was just gonna say, speaking of games and goals, Nobi Boy also came out this year.
And another game with interesting credit.
Yeah,
credits,
that's true. That's true.
Interaction.
Yeah,
There's not
very
nearly enough
strange.
drugs here.
Yeah.
to fully
But I mean, I think
explore
it
that
was
world.
an awesome and bold move of Keita Takahashi to release this game, which doesn't really have any goals with the exception of growing Girl out longer. Putting it on a platform like PS3 and letting the network kind of carry it through in this kind of new, refreshing gameplay experience.
Did they get to Mars?
Yeah, I think they did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So they're still making progress.
I think there are 400,000 players now. I think is the number that have activated accounts in the game,
Which is awesome.
and
Didn't they have to shorten the length though? Like it was taking too long to get to Mars.
I think he refused to do
yeah,
that.
I didn't think he ever said he was going to
But
shorten.
he is
the
coming out with an iPhone version.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That will help, and they're going to build. You're stretching the same girl there, so you're
Right.
working towards the same larger goal.
Cool.
I won't lie, I didn't have all that much fun with it, but I'm glad that our industry has the space. I mean, especially that it was a console game. Like tiny games like this come out all the time on PC, but to have a major third party, get behind this title, this guy who clearly doesn't want to make games the way that game development, the structure is in place for people to make games.
For it to be like commercially successful.
In a way, I mean, even if it wasn't commercially successful, just that it had a chance to come out is great.
5 years ago would not have come out
No,
because there
right.
was simply no outlet.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have
for
come
it.
out on a disc, right?
Right. I mean, like I'm thinking about a lot of my favorite games from like last year, this year, like Mega Man 9 or Flower or Nobi Boy, and they're just small and quirky and weird, but they're beautiful and the fact that this generation we're finally able to have an outlet for these games, I think is probably the best thing about this generation.
This is the first year where, for myself personally, the amount of time I spent playing downloadable games probably exceeded playing, retail copy $60 games. And I know that the kind of gaming space, it's still the percentage of people that play those types of games is still low comparatively, especially financially. But a game like Explosion Man, which I know you played quite a bit of, is one of the best platformers of the year. And talking about credit sequences, it has my favorite ending credit sequence of the entire year. But it was just charming and engaging, but more importantly, not just the aesthetics, but it's solid game built around the aesthetic. Yeah. And I had a ton of fun with it.
I actually don't like the aesthetic that much. I think.
But the music,
I don't like
the
Explosion
first time
Man,
you
the
pick up the
character.
fat guy, and it's like everybody loves donuts.
Yeah.
I was singing that song, which is ironic if I'm on the bus singing the song and like everyone's laughing. I was like, well, that guy loves donuts. But you know what? For that moment of time, I did love donuts because I was enjoying the song.
After some of those levels, like they're so precision based, the timing's so great, the level design is so perfect. Like second to Mario, best platformer ever. But like some of them, they're so hard and so hardcore that when I'm done, I feel like I just had sex. I feel like I gotta sit back and have a cigarette. I have to take a physical break from it. Like I just need to calm down because like, it's just so intense.
Don't touch me.
But it's such an intensely fun game. Like it's just more graphical variation, and because you're just in this kind of cold industrial level after level after level. But just the design when you're like bouncing off of things and doing these combo jumps and everything, just to get to where you need to go, so incredible.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, dude. That's it. We've got a flat. Looks like I ran over a nail or something.
I have to pee. I have to pee like now. Now. This is an emergency.
You didn't check the air pressure before we left.
Do that every time I'm driving.
Yeah, but now we're stuck in the middle of nowhere and it's your fault.
My fault? It's your fault.
Because I decided I'd come with you on this little adventure of yours.
Hey, not important. I have to pee. That's what's
Game
important.
over.
Signal either. We're screwed.
Oh,
We can't stay
great.
here. We can't
No
stay
signal.
here.
What are we gonna call now? We can't call anybody.
You're freaking out. Don't freak out. It's not that big a deal.
Dude, that's a big deal. No, it's not. We don't
Hey, get a hold of yourself. God. All right. Now, hold on a second. I've been playing a lot of Mass Effect 2, so this gives me a really good perspective on how we can solve this problem. We're a ragtag group of guys. We've all got our own individual skills. Look, you're the bronze. You're the looks. You're the scout. I'm the brains.
You're the brains.
Okay, just roll with me on this. All right, so you go stand on the side of the road and look pretty and get us some help. Okay. You're the scout, so go find us a gas station. And you're the bronze, so like jack up the car, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right on. That's teamwork. That's teamwork.
Assemble your own ragtag team and fight as Commander Shepard to unlock the mysteries behind the disappearing human colonies. Facing insurmountable odds and a crew he can't entirely trust, Shepard is humanity's last hope in the fight for the lost. Mass Effect 2, available now.
You know, I really am like Commander Shepard. Good job, Jason.
Talking about great platformers, I mean, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, which came out of nowhere right before E3, right? I mean, it did not present well during the actual presentation. I remember everybody watched it, it was like...
Nothing presented well at that presentation.
We were like, what the Nintendo DS on the Wii was for? I don't get it. But then when you played it, you're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, it was on the show floor, and so like the word of mouth spread really fast.
Well, it's almost like everyone's like, oh, it's just old school Mario.
Yeah.
And Nintendo shot back, it's like, yeah, it's old school Mario. What? It's fucking awesome.
In wonderful ways. They brought back the Koopalings, which is a very nerdy point for me that I love.
I strangely didn't get into it as much as I thought I was going to. I mean, and I think partially it's because its greatest innovation, I guess if you could call it that, is that it has the 4-player mechanic that totally works. And I was playing it as a single-player game. And I'm not saying that the game doesn't work as a single-player game, but all the things about it that I think aren't as good as other Mario games really kind of like stand out when you're not taking advantage of this new Wii multiplayer mechanic. Like the art direction of the game is really, to me, boring. It's really flat. It doesn't have the same kind of energy or soul that a Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World or Yoshi's Island had. You know, the music, it doesn't grab me in the way that old Nintendo music did. And like, I didn't like it as much as I wanted to like it, and it was kind of disappointing for me. But I definitely I was watching these guys play it in 4-player mode, and I was like, man, this is completely different than anything you've ever played before.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's probably meant to be played with 4 people or 3 people. I played it with my brother and my boyfriend, and like half of the whole thing was not only experiencing this classic gameplay, you know, with your friends, but also the utter frustration that you got from like balancing yourself on platforms, pushing each other into enemies, yelling at each other, stealing items from people. I mean, all the stuff that you would expect in sibling rivalries playing games was in that experience. And you know, we didn't kill each other. We stayed through and played through till the end. But that, you know, I wouldn't have played it any other way.
Well, for us, when we were playing 4-player and all that crazy stuff was happening and you're pushing each other off the ledges and everything, we were laughing the whole time.
Yeah,
like it was so much fun.
Really fun.
And then it changed even more once we realized you could bubble yourself at any point. And that completely changed the game once again. It became ultimately you'd pick like the alpha Mario for that level who was playing better than everyone else, and finally you're just like, everyone else just bubble. I'll get through this and unbubble when I need you to.
That was a brilliant innovation because my parents owned this game and I was playing with my mom.
Wow.
And she couldn't keep up with me. And she didn't know how to play these games. But I just go, bubble. And then she would go into bubble mode, and I'd be like, okay, thank God. Because like the platforming is really complex.
Yeah, and like going into bubble, it's like you just shake the shit out of the controller, right? Like, so it's like the instant, like, okay, all I have to do is this. No buttons, just whatever.
But I don't understand the criticism about how this is kind of too old school, because some people out there are like, It's just kind of old Mario again with like more people, because I think they haven't played enough, because there's some really brilliant levels later in the game with some complex level design that you've never seen in any 2D Mario ever. Like just these big rotating things and roller coasters and those giant turtles that aren't Koopas. They're just like giant turtles that rise or fall depending whether they're small or big, and clouds that kind of obscure what's going on. And it's like you're constantly going after those coins too, the 3 big star coins, because they open up new levels. Like there's a hidden 9th world if you find this stuff. So all that stuff is great. Like to me, I just could not understand how this is like the one game I'm like, I don't understand how anyone could not like it. Like when you saw everyone playing, like how did you not want to jump in and play 4-player?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess not.
What's wrong with you? That's crazy.
It's some of the best platforming I've ever seen in a Mario game. I mean, it's been developed to this point where it's just, sublime, and that's why I like playing it single player, to be honest, because I don't want people getting in my way. And it's a challenge. It's hard, it's fun, it's interesting.
And it's such a big improvement over New Super Mario Brothers DS,
yes.
which was safe. Yeah,
Very
very
safe.
much a safe design.
Yeah, another game with a great credit sequence where all 4 people could play together and destroy all the people's names and actually race for coins, see who got the most coins.
I was playing this indie game called Run Man, which I'm sure no one else has played. It kind of combined about like the best parts of Super Mario World and Sonic the Hedgehog with really kind of ghetto-looking, MS Paint-looking graphics and bluegrass music, and
like public domain, bluegrass.
I mean, this game was made by 2 dudes basically. I felt like it was both paying homage to these platformers that I loved in the past, but also a fresh take on it all that, combined different elements that I hadn't seen. It had so many new things that I really did like that I was more impressed by when I was playing Run Man than I was playing New Super Mario Brothers Wii. But that was, just my personal experience.
Do you think that was your expectations more so than the actual game?
I don't know. There's something about Mario Brothers. Like I need the music to be like kicking my ass and like sticking in my head, and I really want like a Tanuki suit to pop up and some random everything. Maybe it was because I saw people.
Penguin suit? No.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
It was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome. Like we would get so excited to see those, like penguin suit or propeller hats, and if there aren't enough for everybody, it's really frantic. And there's always someone who grabs 2 or 3 by accident, and you're like screaming at the person. Like all that dynamic you've never had in a Mario game before. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's there's no arguing that. Like I'm glad that they did it as a multiplayer game and they pulled it off.
At least they didn't have the frog suit.
I like the frog suit. He looks so cute as a frog. Have you seen it?
Well, I would just say in general that this is the first year for me that I actually cared about the Wii.
2007 was a really good year too, though.
This is the first year where like I actively wanted to own a Wii and was glad when I finally did, and not just because of the titles that we're aware of, like Super Mario Brothers and Punch-Out, and even the Wii got its small indie game titles like the Bit Trip series. Great bunch of games. Core and Trip and Void. They all have their own kind of gameplay, kind of this new way of incorporating rhythm and music into games without the rhythm and the music being the game.
See, I thought we had a pretty weak year, honestly. Like aside from New Super Mario Brothers, which like admittedly I didn't get as into as other people, I thought Punch-Out was kind of the highlight for me.
Dead Space Extraction.
Dead Space
House of
Extraction.
the Dead Overkill.
I didn't play House of the Dead.
I still loved Mad World, despite it has issues. It's not a perfect game, but I had a ton of fun with Mad World, and that was like to me it was like the most pleasant surprise.
Man,
of
after the
year.
end of 08, when it was just seemed barren.
It's true, but I feel like with the number of Wiis that are out there, it could have been so much greater. I mean,
Nobody knows how to sell games on the thing.
I know. But you're right. Dead Space Extraction was a wonderful game, totally different than anything else that had come out before it, except for I guess House of the Dead Overkill and
Darkside Chronicles
and
Umbrella
Resident Evil
Chronicles.
and Umbrella
And it's
Chronicles.
something you couldn't have had on any other system.
But
because they wouldn't have made that game. They would have gone all the way. It's in the same way that I really like the art style in Mad World. I think one of the reasons it is so visually interesting is because they had to work within the confines of the way the system's put together. 2 GameCubes. Duct tape.
If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Plus, enter code CO6 when you check out and save an additional 20% off of a 1, 2, or 3-year hosting plan. Some restrictions apply. See site for details and get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com.
I think that the DS actually had a really, really good year.
Yeah.
The DSi came out too, and I don't know if any of you guys got it. I got it because I really like toys.
I'm not crazy. I'm not spending
It's-
$170 or however much on
Well, I'm not
camera.
crazy either, but I really like it. So,
The DSi is my favorite piece of Nintendo hardware, maybe ever.
beautiful
I like
toy.
the clicky D-pad. I think it's a really smart-looking system. The screens take up most of the real estate, and
Do you ever wish that it was bigger?
no,
I want the Golden Girls edition.
No, I don't. I mean, honestly, after playing Spirit Tracks, I started wanting to go back and play old Zelda games, and I have a lot of them on Game Boy Advance, and so I kind of did wish at some point that it had an Advance slot on it.
That's why I won't buy a DSi, because I keep a GBA game in there at all times.
And I totally get that. I hope that they do much more with it and more DSiWare games get released. And I do think it kind of sucks for anyone who has a DS Lite, like me, also, that you can't get a new version of the firmware that lets you download the games and that sort of thing.
Or at least a GBA card that allows you to do all those things.
Something.
But Nintendo wants people to move over to DSi because of piracy. I mean, that's the reason the DSi exists. And so they're never going to allow that. They're never going to offer that. So ultimately, you're going to get left behind, or you do have to
wait
spend
until
that money.
wait till the new DS.
I'll wait till they
comes
drop
out.
the price when they have the motion controller and the
I'm waiting for the
DS.
App XL.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking for the laptop version.
My year started off with Henry Hatsworth,
That
which
was great.
was amazing, and I had no expectations for it, and it came out, and it was like one of my favorite games. Really hard, but beautifully designed, really fun. Rhythm Heaven was another Nintendo game that came out and was a lot of fun, even though it didn't get as much, popularity as it should have.
It's so easy to forget that since it came out in Japan a year before that.
Yeah.
That game was way too hard.
No, it wasn't. You just don't know how to swipe. That's it.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't get very far.
I gotta agree with Shu. I think it was too hard. Like I don't think, because the original.
Are you serious, guys?
Yeah, the original rhythm Heaven I loved to death. But the problem was the stylus.
Yeah. And then of course Spirit Tracks, which was good.
Yeah, around here somewhere.
I didn't like the trains.
Mario and Luigi.
Oh, Bowser's Inside Story.
When I was going over to Japan for TGS, that was my game for the flight there and the flight back. And once again, like the Treehouse guys, the localization they do on these games, the way, specifically that series, it's completely unparalleled, and it's legitimately laugh out loud funny, and there aren't that many games that you can say that about.
That's the funniest game I played this year, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean Bowser finally becomes this character. He becomes this like big old douchebag that you kind of love to walk around and like punch.
I preferred playing as Bowser over
Definitely.
the Mario Brothers.
And the main villain he speaks in English the entire time, and it's just beautifully done. Whenever he gets all upset, he's always like, "I have the chortles."
Yeah.
To say he's laughing. It's just,
I mean, it's well written. The sprite design is super impressive. Half of it takes place inside of Bowser, so they have this like weird, surrealistic, like inner workings,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't see it coming, and it was great.
thought it was a pretty solid year for DS RPGs in general. I mean, you had a lot of different flavors. I mean, you had Mario, you had Dragon Quest V, which was one of the big ones that I liked a lot. You had Devil Survivor, which was really hardcore. You had a lot of really little ones like Nights in the Nightmare, which got lost in the shuffle, but was actually really good, really interesting. It was a bullet hell RPG, if you can believe that.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was messed up, but I really liked it once I got into it.
My favorite Days game is one that came out at the end of the year, and we just talked about it on the show, so we're not going to actually talk about it much. But God, I love Clash of Heroes, Might and Magic. Might and Magic
God
is.
bless Cappy.
They
are so great.
I've never played a Might and Magic game, so I have no love for the franchise. And Clash of Heroes is just about as boring a title as you could come up with. But God,
No, there's not the Sega dartboard of a video game.
no, it's blank of blank. That's like the fucking standard. Everyone's got to make a blank of blank game. But I played Puzzle Quest. So it's not like the first time I've seen a puzzle game and RPG with RPG elements like blended together. For a guy who's not super duper into RPGs where you have to track a bunch of stats and numbers, there's not that much there to like overwhelm you. The core gameplay is pretty simple, and you're always planning, you're always thinking, and it just turned out to be just a refreshing little game that I wasn't expecting at all. With in a genre that's not my favorite, with an art style that isn't usually the type of stuff that appeals to me, and yet I still am playing this game, and it works well in multiplayer and single player. It came out of nowhere for me.
I mean, there's another game out there that I know you haven't gotten a chance to play yet, but it was kind of a hybrid RPG with also a unique art style, which was another one of those games that really kind of came together at the last second. It took a lot of people by surprise. Was Borderlands. I mean, I
totally agree with you. I totally agree.
It's the first time, and I actually talked a little bit with Cliff Blazinski from the other games, who's talked a lot about wanting to kind of meld RPG and shooters, and he's like, Borderlands is absolutely the first game that's done it right, at least for what it's trying to do. And the game's so fun, and the fact that they don't try to change what a shooter should be on a console. In fact, they just use the Call of Duty control scheme, and they're like, yeah, we're using the Call of Duty control scheme. Why would we use anything else?
Yeah.
And the fact that like the co-op stuff, it adds so much to that experience, and I put so much time into that game and went like straight through it, and leveled my character up to 50, and the weapons, like it's so funny. You hear the kind of 3.8 million weapons, more weapons than the population of the Netherlands. Was one of the lines that I heard out there.
Interesting choice.
But you talk to other people, and everyone finds that one weapon that just kind of throws them for a loop, and then you talk to each other, and you're like, God, I want that weapon, but you know you're probably never going to get it unless you play co-op and you kind of can trade stuff.
Like, one thing I really love about the multiplayer experience is, like, unlike Modern Warfare, unlike Left 4 Dead, it's the one multiplayer game where you can go in with your friends and just bullshit about normal life stuff while you're playing the game.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to be constantly like, oh my God, there's guys coming here, blah, blah, blah. It's just like you're chilling, you're just having a good time, you're leveling up, shooting the shit with your friends. It's like, for me, Borderlands was like the first game that came out this year where like all my friends back in Houston, Texas, like it was our regular like hookup. Like, man, you moved away, let's hang out on Xbox Live, play some Borderlands.
That's because you don't have greedy friends.
Yes.
I played with my girlfriend a lot, like just 2-player co-op most of the time, and we're fighting over like, because I'll be like, I love the UI, right? I love like just being able to see at a distance. Do I even need to pick that up? Like really smart design things, and being able to see is this weapon better before you have to pick it up. You don't have to pick it up. You don't have to equip it and look at a screen. And then meanwhile, I would be checking something out, and my girlfriend, all of a sudden it disappears. I'm like, because my girlfriend ran by and picked it up. That sort of stuff is actually kind of like it's a very stressful game to me.
Because her girlfriend is beating you.
Yeah, she's stealing all your weapons.
She's just like, she'll just run by, like, she doesn't care I'm checking something out. She's like, I'm picking it up. You're taking too long to pick shit up. So it's really stressful for me, but I love it because it's just so many carrots on sticks, right? Like, it's like there's always that slightly better weapon, that skill you're going after, like, and you got to decide, you can't get every skill, so you have to decide how do you want to grow your character. All that stuff's really cool, and it's great to kind of have the complementary aspect of the game where, okay, I'm going to be a hunter, but you're going to be the berserker or whatever, and then our powers will complement each other. So you could kind of customize your party accordingly. It's like, I need your help to heal, but I'll be more the power guy or whatever.
Yeah, the skills were what really stood out for me because it created these really fun little experiences for you to have with friends. I played as a soldier, and I focused really on like the medic sort of side of him, where if I shot at any of my friends, it would heal them. And so it was really fun to kind of do that because when you're playing with your friends, you don't realize what that skill is. And all of a sudden, you know, we finish a battle, and all of a sudden, like, I'm getting shot, and they're running away from me. I'm like, no, you're fine.
But I think also in the best tradition of kind of the classic Diablo loot horde games, it doesn't beat you over the head with the story that's there. It's not. It's pretty much paper thin. But it's also it's clearly a product of the team at Gearbox in Texas. It has a very particular sense of humor and a kind of the way it establishes the world you're in. And I found myself, you know, not necessarily laughing, but definitely smirking with the kind of humor they're trying to put across, but more importantly, like that visual style, which added to it.
This next segment is brought to you by Netflix. With Netflix, you can rent over 90,000 titles online, including lots of Blu-rays, with free shipping both ways to your home. They now have over 40 shipping centers, so almost all deliveries happen in just one business day. The Netflix plans start from $4.99. As a new member, you can get a no-risk 2-week free trial membership. Check it out at www.netflix.com/coop. That's /COOP. Everybody always forgets the dash. That's coop, not co-op. Anyway, use that code, and don't forget the www or it doesn't work.
And you bring up Diablo and loot horde aspects, and you bring up carrots on a stick, and both of those things really define Torchlight.
Torchlight.
If Diablo 3 wasn't just around the corner, you know...
Oh, it's not.
Well, in relative terms, in Blizzard terms, Torchlight totally fulfilled that vibe for me in every conceivable way. Again, it was a small team that executed a AAA product in my mind. The art in that game is completely cohesive and really enjoyable. It has a lot of unique gameplay stuff added on. I love being able to load up my pet and send him back to town. The character classes were terrific and unique and had unique powers, just like in Borderlands, so it didn't feel like this sort of generic, you know, RPG ripoff. It felt like, wow, this really is their own game that they put together here.
Well, it's the original Diablo guys. They know what they're doing. I was talking to Max Schaefer about that whole debacle over at Flagship, and it's really unfortunate because they were making Mythos over there.
Mythos was awesome. Yeah.
That became Torchlight, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Torchlight is so good.
Yeah.
It's a deal breaker for me though, not having multiplayer. Like you play Borderlands, you play Diablo, all these Fantasy Star Online. Like I'm like, I can't play that kind of game without.
It's a test bed for the Torchlight MMO.
Yeah.
Like they said, here's the first game. We got it all set up. Now we're gonna make it an MMO. That's why Perfect World picked it up in the first place.
The crazy thing is like I don't want it to be an MMO. I just want to play more Torchlight. I want them to do like a Torchlight 2 or give me some expansions and some DLC or something, you know.
As long as we're talking about RPGs, I don't think we can talk about RPGs without your guys' favorite game, Demon Souls.
I don't want to sit in between you guys for this one.
Well, Demon Souls is my personal game of the year because it caught me completely off guard. I borrowed the game. I played through the first area, and I was so surprised by just how atmospheric and interesting and different it was. The fact that I died in like the first 5 minutes and died permanently, and then I was like, oh, so okay, that's a little subversive. Oh, that's interesting. It's so atmospheric, and there's so much tension, and there's so many really creative ideas, and like the actual level design is really solid. All the different levels, I mean, are very different with very different atmospheres. The monsters are appropriately huge and detailed and interesting to fight. I mean, these guys saw me fighting the spider. I mean, it's a lot different than fighting, say, the Phalanx from the first level. Demon Souls has captured a massive community for a reason. It's really good.
But it's also one of the most unique, truly unique and original uses of online integration into kind of a mainline single player game that anyone's done for a long time.
I find that thrilling, to be perfectly honest. Not that it was multiplayer in the sense of I'm doing co-op, in the sense that they're all around me. I mean, I see their shadows, I see the blood on the floor. It adds so much to the overall experience. And even if I get really frustrated at certain points, I can call people in and be like, oh, well, you're a really high level and you generally are very successful. I'll call you in.
Yeah, and see, I think I didn't do enough of that stuff. I was I was trying to tackle it from a purely single player perspective, and it was the grind really that was frustrating me, and I should have tapped into that online portion of the game more to help me get through it.
I had a foul experience playing it like you did.
Yeah.
But I honestly, and I think I hope I've openly admitted this, I didn't play it for all that long. You know, I played it for probably 5 hours on a single day. Never even left the one stage I was trying to conquer because I just didn't understand that the idea was to go to, you know, this place and then this place and this place. You know, I thought I gotta beat stage 1-1 before I go anywhere else, which is totally not the way the game works. I was playing it wrong. So I started playing another game kind of late in this year that really took me by surprise, that has a lot of similar elements. An indie PC game that's coming to Xbox Live Arcade next year. It's called Spelunky by Derek Yu. I didn't really know what to expect from it when I started playing it, other than that I'd heard it was really, really fun and it was a roguelike and had a bunch of different options.
Death is permanent.
Yeah, you die really easily in it. It had randomly generated caves, dungeons, which used to be a bad word, but you know, I think when people nail that, it can be the saving grace of a game like this. And it was for me, because going into it, I knew, okay, I'm gonna die a lot in this game, which is not something I knew going into Demon's Souls. Because the dungeons are randomly generated, every time you're going through something totally different. So I didn't feel that same sense of repetition that I did when I was going through the stages in Demon's Souls. Bombs blow up the rock around you, ropes let you climb. You'll see idols that look like they're out of Indiana Jones, and you have to figure out what to do with them. You'll eventually run into shops where you can buy different things, and every time you come upon a new shop, they may have different items in it that you've never seen before. So every life tells a completely different story. This one time I saved a princess and pulled the idol off the statue like I did in Indiana Jones, and then I ran and bought a golden cape from a guy. But just when I was about to buy it, I threw it at him instead of taking it, so he pulled out his sawed-off shotgun and shot me.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of ways to die in that game.
A million ways.
I learned, I mean, you know, I really love that game, but I also, you know, hate it at the same time, because it just, you know, I continuously die in it. And I think I learned it the hard way because with platformers, you know, I'm like a run and jump kind of thing. Like in Mario, I just like run and jump over everything and just want to get finished with it, but you can't do it that with Spelunky because the levels are all completely different, and your basic, you know, the strategy is to figure out how to avoid dying in every single situation and how to get tons and tons of cash.
But unlike a lot of games, you know, I feel like you're constantly, you know, playing this one life, trying to get everything, or at least that's how I play. Like, I want to get every item so I can have every gameplay experience that I can possibly have over the course of this game. But in Spelunky, you know, you set that all aside and you realize, like, I'm gonna get all the cool gameplay experiences, but it's not gonna come at this one life that I have saved throughout the course of the game. It's like every single life I get something different. So this one time I got the climbing gloves that let me hang onto walls, and then I played it like a Ninja Gaiden game. But this other time I got, you know, I died after entering the stage and I was only in there for 5 seconds. And then this other time, you know, I bombed my way through 20 stages of, you know, because I found so many stashes of bombs that I was able to, like, carve my own way through the stage. More people will play it when it comes to Xbox Live next year. I urge everyone to play it now if you have a PC because it's free. But I was thinking, man, this is like the this would have been the most awesome NES game I ever played if I had played it back in the NES, if it came out back in the 8-bit era. And that was just a really refreshing, surprising end to the year for me.
Talks like this always depress me because there's so many games out there, and there's games we haven't even touched on. I mean, Modern Warfare 2,
ODST.
So many of us. So Shu and I have been playing multiplayer, a ton of Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
It's like the same
For
mantra
me,
every year. Too many games.
Street Fighter 4, like I didn't have anywhere near enough time to play, but I wanted to. So everyone spit out your top 1 to 5 games as fast as you possibly can. That are your favorite games of the year. Go, Justin.
Loco Roco 2,
Diabolical Bucks,
Demon Souls,
Batman, and Uncharted 2. Assassin's Creed 2, excuse me.
Batman and Borderlands.
Assassin's Creed 2 and Dragon Age. Assassin's Creed 2, Uncharted 2, and Uncharted 2. Batman,
You said 3.
Street Fighter, Spelunky. Go.
Uncharted 2 and Critter Crunch.
Nice.
Captain Forever.
Well done.
Borderlands, Uncharted 2, Modern Warfare 2, and Plants vs. Zombies and Super Mario Bros.
Awesome.
All right.
2009 rocked.
Woo!